Greetings, I'm Tantus now Van Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and it's time to talk about Vampire the Masquerade some more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the virtues and the finishing touches for your character creation. We're already almost done our characters, but let's talk about the virtues first. There are 3 virtues you're going to choose from. Each of these virtues automatically starts with 1 dot in it. You then get 7 dots you can split between them, to a maximum of 5 in any virtue. So what are these virtues? The first is self-control. Self-control you'd use if you're going to try to avoid frenzy. Frenzy usually occurs when you're very low on blood or when certain things provoke you into it. It means you lose control of your character and can do detrimental things to the area around you, either to your allies or people. Normally when you're frenzying, you're just looking for blood because you're desperate. Self-control can try to control that. Next is courage. Courage, traditionally, when you're just using that straight, means that I'm trying to avoid going into fear as an automatic reaction to things such as fire and sunlight. Fire and sunlight are very bad for vampires, so when exposed to one of them, traditionally they kind of cower in fear. Courage can allow you to sort of resist that and be like, ugh, if you really need to like run through some sunlight from like one building to another or something that's really close by to you, I could make it across. You would need to roll courage in order to like live through doing that. Or to able to do that even before worrying about living through doing that. And the actual last one is conscious. Each character will have a measure of humanity I'm going to talk about in a minute. Conscious is what you roll when you're doing some kind of horrible, evil act that would affect your humanity, how human you still are. You would roll your conscious to sort of resist losing some of that, losing some of your human self. So let's talk about humanity next. Humanity is equal to your conscious plus your self-control. So those 2 numbers added together is how many dots you have in humanity. As I said, humanity is determination of how human and how much of a beast you are. The higher it is, the more human you are. Now, courage is how you measure how much willpower you have. Willpower is your ability to like overcome obstacles mentally and to withstand yourself against hardened conditions. You can actually spend your willpower temporarily in order to get bonuses to things. You could like extra dice, extra successes, you can spend willpower. You can burn willpower permanently for some of these things, and it would traditionally be things that would you use to save your life in desperate situations. But you, as I said, burning temporary willpower, you would do things based upon your nature in order to gain it back. We're getting back into the beginning of it. When I mentioned nature affects your willpower and regaining it, here's where I'm talking about willpower. Now next we talk about blood pool. That's how much blood you have at a time. Traditionally, you can have up to 10. Higher generations can have higher blood pools, and also allows you to spend more of your blood pool in a turn. Normally, you can only use 1 of these blood points in one of the turns, but the higher generation, the more blood points you can spend, so the more things you can do with it. But as I said, most vampires will have 10 blood pool at maximum, and you'll roll a d10 to see how much blood you start with. You could start with 1 and be like, I'm really thirsty, or you could start with 10 and be like, I don't have to feed for a while. Now the final thing your character is going to do, which I will mention something else you can do that's more of an optional rule in the next one, but the final thing for the basics character is you're going to spend freebie points. You will get 15 freebie points. Freebie points you can spend on anything on your character. Each thing you spend it on has a cost. If you spend it to get a dot in a discipline, it costs you 7 freebie points. Now when you do this, it can be any discipline. Meaning I could just be like, oh, I have this discipline to start with, or I have this discipline to start with. It could be a non-clan discipline. Now, clan-specific disciplines might be more restricted to you again. You might have to add in something with your background in order for your storyteller to say that's okay to take. But traditionally, it might be like, if your clan doesn't allow celerity, which is a pretty common one, you could be like, I put a dot in celerity. It would cost me 7 of my freebie points. 5 will also increase an attribute. So 5 will get you a tribute higher. 2 will get you an ability. 2 will also give you one of your virtues up. If you raise a virtue, it will affect its derived one. So if I raise my courage, it will affect my willpower. Willpower by itself, though, costs 2 also. Humanity and backgrounds each cost you 1 to raise. So freebie points are really best used to throw some into backgrounds at least, because backgrounds are so much harder to raise than anything else. I would recommend looking to use those at least. Again, you could also use 14 of it to get 2 more dots in disciplines and have disciplines up the butt to start out with. But that might not necessarily be the best thing to do, because if you're weak on backgrounds, they can have huge in-game effects. Like your resources, if they're very low, means you might not have a lot of things. While if your contacts are low, maybe having a contact would be very helpful to have. that there could be a circumstance where, like, if you have that contact, it might mean the difference between getting something you needed and not. Backgrounds can be such critically important in, like, the little things that they add in, that you never know when it could be good to get. Anyway, so that's it for today. I talked about the virtues you can take, the derived sort of statistics your vampire is going to have, and using freebie points to finish up your character. There's only a few more things I want to talk about when it comes to character creation, but I will go over them next time and start moving into talking about just the basics of gameplay soon. So if there's any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I forgot, please leave it in the comments below. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. It shows your support for the channel and the Empire. Please subscribe if you already haven't. That's the most important way you can show support for us, by becoming a citizen, by becoming a member. Please share this video if you know anyone that could learn anything from it or would enjoy it. And until the next time, I bid you farewell.